Right now, somewhere on Earth, millions of people are clicking a computer mouse, opening files, browsing websites, editing documents, designing products, playing games, working, creating, communicating. For decades, the mouse became one of the most recognizable tools in computing. But here's the surprising part. The man who invented the mouse wasn't trying to invent a mouse. He was trying to reinvent human intelligence. And in the process, he may have glimpsed the future decades before the rest of the world was ready to see it. In the 1960s, computers were intimidating machines. They filled rooms, cost fortunes, and were accessible primarily to governments, universities, and large corporations. Most interaction happened through punch cards, commands, specialized operators, technical expertise. To many people, computers looked like giant calculators, powerful, but distant. Douglas Engelbart saw something entirely different. He believed computers could become partners in human thinking, tools that amplified intelligence, systems that helped people solve complex problems together. This idea was radical, because at the time, very few people thought about computers this way. Engelbart wasn't asking, how can computers calculate faster? He was asking, how can computers help humans think better? That question would change everything. Engelbart worked at the Stanford Research Institute in Menlo Park, today known as SRI International. The institute sat within the growing ecosystem that was beginning to transform the Bay Area. Universities, research laboratories, defense-funded projects, engineers, scientists, ideas. It was the perfect environment for unconventional thinking. And Engelbart's ideas were certainly unconventional. He envisioned a future filled with interactive computing, digital documents, hypertext links, collaborative work, networked information systems, video communication. Remember, this was the 1960s. Many of these concepts would not become commonplace for decades, yet Engelbart was already building prototypes. One challenge kept emerging. If humans were going to interact directly with information on a screen, they needed a better way to navigate. Keyboards alone felt limiting. So Engelbart and his team began experimenting. One of his key collaborators was Bill English. Together, they explored ways to translate physical movement into digital movement. The result looked surprisingly primitive. A small wooden device, two perpendicular wheels, a wire extending from the back. People reportedly thought it resembled a mouse. The nickname stuck. In 1970, Engelbart received a patent for what was officially called an XY position indicator for a display system. Not exactly a marketing masterpiece. But the device represented something much larger. A new way for humans and computers to communicate. Then came one of the most important demonstrations in computing history. December 1968, Engelbart took the stage and showed the world something extraordinary. The event would later become known as the mother of all demos. For 90 minutes, audiences witnessed technologies that seemed almost impossible. The mouse, hypertext links, collaborative editing, video conferencing, graphical interaction, shared documents. Many concepts that define modern computing appeared together for the first time. It was as if someone had briefly opened a window into the future. And yet something strange happened. The future didn't arrive immediately. The mouse did not become an overnight success. Most computers still relied on command line interfaces. Mainframes dominated the industry. Personal computing barely existed. The technology worked. The vision was compelling. But the ecosystem wasn't ready. This is one of history's recurring patterns. Great ideas often appear before the conditions needed to support them. The invention exists. The market doesn't. The future arrives, but arrives too early. For years, Engelbart's work remained largely ahead of its time. Yet ideas have a remarkable ability to survive, especially when others build upon them. During the 1970s, researchers at Xerox PARC expanded upon many of Engelbart's concepts. Graphical user interfaces became more sophisticated. Mouse-based computing became more practical. Then Apple entered the story. Products such as the Lisa and Macintosh introduced mouse-driven computing to a much larger audience. Millions of people encountered the mouse. Many assumed Apple had invented it. They hadn't. Apple helped popularize it. But the original vision traced back to Engelbart's research decades earlier. And once the ecosystem caught up, the mouse became one of the most successful interface devices in history. The most important lesson isn't really about the mouse. The mouse was only one small piece of Engelbart's vision. His true innovation was conceptual. He imagined computing as an extension of human capability, not merely a machine, not merely a calculator, but a system that could help people collaborate, learn, create, and solve problems together. That vision now feels familiar because we live inside it. The internet, cloud collaboration, shared documents, video conferencing, hyperlinks, interactive interfaces. Many of these ideas were present in Engelbart's work long before they became mainstream. The mouse was simply the most visible artifact. Throughout Bay origins, we've seen a recurring pattern. The Bay Area often produces ideas long before the world fully understands them. Stanford developed talent before Silicon Valley existed. Semiconductor pioneers built foundations before personal computing emerged. Venture capital created systems before startups became mainstream. Douglas Engelbart followed the same pattern. His laboratory didn't merely invent a device. It explored an entirely new way of thinking about computing. And that may be one of Silicon Valley's greatest strengths. Not simply building products, but imagining futures. The mouse became successful. The vision behind the mouse changed the world. Which brings us back to the question at the heart of Bay origins. Why did it happen here? Perhaps because the Bay Area repeatedly created environments where people could experiment with ideas that seemed impossible until suddenly they weren't. The innovator's ledger. Lesson 1. Solve the bigger problem. Engelbart didn't set out to invent a mouse. He set out to improve human capability. The mouse emerged as a consequence. Great innovations often result from pursuing larger goals. Lesson 2. Being right too early can look like failure. The mother of all demos revealed technologies decades ahead of their widespread adoption. Timing matters. Markets often take years to catch up with ideas. Lesson 3. The visible product isn't always the real innovation. People remember the mouse. The deeper breakthrough was Engelbart's vision of interactive computing. Founders should ask, what larger idea does my product make possible? Douglas Engelbart spent years developing technologies that the broader market wasn't ready to embrace. What idea do you believe will become obvious in 10 years, but sounds unrealistic today? A wooden device with 2 wheels became one of the most influential tools in computing history. But the mouse was never really the point. The point was a larger vision. A vision in which humans and computers worked together to expand what was possible. And once again, that vision emerged in the Bay Area. This is Bay Origins, birthplace of the future.